Welcome to the Alpha Prime tutorial. We're going to be talking about the volume oscillator. Volume essentially underpins everything within trading, because without trading, then we'll simply have a flat line of nothing. So we need volume in order to have any kind of volatility or really any capacity to trade. If we can somewhat understand that, then it will surely give us the edge. However, interpreting volume can be a bit of a minefield, because it can either mean two things. One, it is going to break out and we're going to see lovely new highs, or two, we're going to see a reversal. So we need to try and establish the difference between the two. But first of all, let's take a look at the settings on the Alpha Prime. Whilst we're up here, we're going to be taking a look at one of these signals that we'll be looking into later on. And we want to make sure that the show breakout signal is checked on. Now let's scroll all the way down, firstly, to the volume oscillator menu. Now this is basically the settings that drive the volume oscillator. And you have the short length and the long length. The short length we don't really care too much about, because this is pretty much identifying consolidation. So we want to leave that just around about sub-0, but not too far, otherwise it may cause some issues. This will essentially give a bit of a threshold on how much the volume needs to pump or spike in order to trigger a signal. And what do the signals look like? Well, as you can see, these little diamonds down here, the small one basically means a small volume spike leading all the way up to the larger diamond, which means a very large volume spike. On top of this as well, we also have the volume thresholds. So volume 1 is the smallest diamond, and all the way up to volume 4 threshold, which is the largest diamond. And you can lower these and raise these as much as you want. If you only want to be notified of really high thresholds, then simply raise threshold number 1 and it won't bother you. Volume 1 threshold is the most significant, because that is what the alert is attached to. The alert in question is the volume spike down here. The volume spike volume will trigger when the first diamond is triggered. So whatever this value is will be directly proportional to the volume spike alert down here. So by changing both the long length, to basically change how sensitive the volume oscillator is to the volume, and also the thresholds, you can get a nice balance of what is constituted as a proper volume spike. The default settings are actually quite demanding, and they demand quite unique spikes in volume in order for them to be triggered. But you can also use this sliding scale to see how significant the actual volume spikes are. And like I said, two things that these will notify you of is either a breakout or a potential reversal. Let's take a look at a few examples. So here, for instance, we have 3 diamonds trigger, and we have 1 diamond right before. So it means that it's building up slightly. And the build up is essentially a breakout. And what I mean by breakout is we see a significant local resistance just here, and we have a load of volume which helps push us out. We naturally see a significant amount of selling because we've just broken out to new territory where people will be realizing their profits, but it still holds. So when you see this amount of volume and the price still holding, here would be a great entry for a trade. However, let's take a look what would happen for a reversal. So as we can see just here, the volume kicks off and there is loads of volume coming in. So you'd think, great, loads of buying pressure. But you also have to bear in mind that within this candle, there is loads of buys and also loads of sells, which essentially means double the volume. So whilst we don't see a great deal of candle movement, well, we do in the volatility, but we also see a huge amount of volume, which means there is a lot of pull and push going on. But this, to me, with a wick like that, would be a significant confirmation of a reversal. Not to mention that it is also on a key resistance as well. So I would be taking a short just there. We have also tried to make it even easier to identify breakouts. So as you can see just here, we see a B, and this is related to the box that I asked you to check earlier on, which is show breakout. Now this works in combination with the support and the resistance. So let's go back and simulate this trade right here. So here we are, and we're going to simulate this trade. Now we have just had so we can see here that we are in an area of resistance. So we can see just here that when this candle was about to switch over, we can see that so just here, we can see that we're in a channel of what is basically at the time support, but then it flipped to resistance. So This signal will trigger when we get a key pump in volume and we also break through a support or resistance line. Then if we break up through a resistance line, then we'll get a bullish signal. If we break down through a support with lots of volume, we'll get a bearish signal. So right here, we have broken up through a resistance with lots of volume. And also we can confirm this by eye as well, because we've got a local resistance right here, which we have pumped through. So you always want to do one of two things when taking breakout trades. Firstly, it's either going to continue to go straight up or it's going to retrace at some point. So you want to be putting your entry zone somewhere between the close of the candle that broke out and pretty much all the way down to about the retest zone, which would be around about here. Our stop loss is going to be sitting at just below the most local swing low, or swing high if you're doing a short. And then since we got a confirmation of trend, basically, we can be a little bit generous with our take profit. So we're going to go for a 2 to 1. You can even go 3 to 1 on these as well, but for the sake of this, we'll go with 2 to 1. So let's see how this trade plays out. And it goes straight to take profit. Obviously, not all trades do that, but it gives you a bit of an example of how strong breakout signals can be. I hope that gives you a good insight into the volume oscillator and also breakout signals for the Alpha Prime. Until next time.